Hey guys, welcome into this next game. We're spawning directly on top of ST.Squirtle, who's going to be the red Protoss in the bottom left, going up against Incredible Miracles Horror. So we have StarTale versus Incredible Miracles. We have an amazing best of three. Already it started in a very heated fashion, considering the fact that Horror ended up taking down Squirtle by faking macro play and then coming with a big Ling Roach bust. He denied scouting perfectly by Squirtle. Squirtle went in and what he saw was a third base, no gas, which screams macro lead into roach play. And yeah, guess what? Horror got a faster extractor, got metabolic boost, then built the roach horn, and then busted the front of Squirtle with a couple dozen lings as well as 7 roaches. I don't know if he built any more after the initial 7, but he did have 7 roaches, and he streamed across the map and exposed 2 holes in Squirrel's wall, one between a cannon and then one with a pylon, which was really bad. It's hard to defend those pushes as it is without a nice sentry count, and Entombed Valley is such a wide ramp, and Squirrel got destroyed because of that one hex mistake. He could have held on a little bit more if he had maybe 1 weakness in the wall, but with 2, it just allowed too many lings and roaches to attack, and there was nothing to do to defend. Once again, we see Horror going for his 13 pool, and by the way, in the last game, I can't believe I didn't make a joke singing GG Maybe, the Smix version of the spoof of Call Me Maybe. I cannot believe I didn't do that with the lings running by, because he was Zergling, so GG Maybe, and with the whole wall, it would have worked perfect. You took your time with the wall, I took no time with the fall. It would be perfect. I'm such a fool. I'm such a fool, but it's okay. I hope I made up for it just now by telling you that I could have made a terrible joke that probably no one would laugh at. But the Nexus is now just happily getting out some probes. Squirrel may be going for that same 18 probe Nexus. Yes, he will. 18 out of 18. And we'll see the Nexus going down. Once he has 400 minerals, pull back your probe. There we go. Nexus. Nexus. There we go. Nexus. Alright, so looks like we're not going to be seeing some weird fake one-basing stuff out of Squirtle, so that's going to be, I guess, nice to see. As far as Horror goes, no gas yet. The natural is down. Let's see if he's going to get a third base around in this game, because it's entirely possible. I'm kind of expecting it, actually. I feel like after that last game, he's going to play a little bit more standard, a little more safe, just in case Squirtle decides to go ahead and reverse the cheese. I mean, after all, if we remember back to that MKP game against the not MKP guy, the TBT where we weren't sure at first who was MKP and who wasn't. We saw Proxy Racks versus Proxy Racks, so who knows? We could have had you could have cheese versus cheese in this PvZ as well, but it looks like we are probably not going to see it out of Horror because the hatchery is now down at that third base. It could get canceled, but I doubt it. There's not really any risk of scouting from Squirrel at the moment. You can see he's completely locked inside his main base, but if you look at Horror, he's got vision everywhere. He knows the Nexus has been put down. He sees that he'll be able to move in and look at the gas count, and once he sees the gases, he's going to try to figure out what's going on, but a lot depends on whether or not he'll be seeing this gas or this gas, as this is 3rd and 4th gases that really kind of let you know what the Protoss is going to be doing. Because if you're going for a really large push, you may just not get these 3rd and 4th gases, and it leads to having a higher zealot count, more stalkers, fewer sentries, but your DPS is overall better because you'll just have more stuff. You're not spending time and energy and resources going out for the higher points of tech. So Horror may be able to go ahead and exploit that. No upgrades are coming down yet for Squirtle. His cybernetics core is actually weirdly on the high ground. I actually heard that Heart of the Swarm, they might be taking out the Pilot's ability to power and warp in on the high ground, so this could literally be a one-time deal in this game. But there's the Robo going down very, very quickly. This could either be for War Prism play or for Immortal play. I'm not quite sure why I'm saying this, but I'm going to say he's just going to go for a big gateway push with the War Prism. I feel like that's what he's going to be doing. Part of that is because we saw Seed do something similar in the early parts of earlier series. I should probably stop saying the word earlier. But in early series, we did see Seed do a very, very similar push off on the same map with Forge Fast expansion, which is actually unconventional for Seed. He usually does go for a gateway expand versus Zerg, and he's one of the only top-level players to do it, except for Liquid.TLO, and he doesn't quite have the tournament level of Seed, because that Seed is code S, I believe, at the moment. But Horror's third was indeed not cancelled. He's got queens everywhere. There's no Roach Warren out for him yet. Scratch that. There's the Roach Warren. And he's got, look like he'll have 3 gases. And with 3 gases, he'll be able to go for a heavy count of roaches. Probably not going to go for too much other attacks, just go for the Evo Chamber, Lair, Glitter Constitution, and roaches. And that'll probably be where he allocates his gas to at the start of this game. But with Squirtle with his 3rd and 4th gas geysers, we've got an Immortal coming out, so it looks like we'll probably see an Immortal Sentry push. He may complement it with a War Prism, because more Protosses are doing that as of late, just bringing War Prisms with their attacks as opposed to trying to use Proxy Pylons with their probes. It's a little more stable, because it's harder to kill off the War Prism than it is to pick off a probe or a pylon, and even though it wastes a little bit of time from producing off your Robo, it still allows you to have a more reliable warp, in which in the end, I would say 7 or 8 Stalkers is more important than a single Immortal, or even maybe half Immortal. What's the exact build time? Immortal is 55 seconds, and a Warp is 50 seconds. So yeah, basically an Immortal less for 8 Stalkers, I'd say, is purely worth it. Alright, so let's for the fun look at that. Holy god, they hit lots of buttons. I was going to say, wow, they're probably going to be around 200, 150 to 200 and all that good stuff, but nope. They're both way high. So that's kind of fun. Actually, their APM itself is actually low, but their EPM that Blizzard got backwards is actually pretty damn high. Wow, so Horror is continuing just to drone up. We see 3 roaches now coming out. The Lair is here. We've got the Macro Hatch. Evo Chamber is getting Carapace. Carapace instead of the missile attack is a very interesting choice. I'm not quite sure why he's getting the Carapace upgrade. He's going roaches, so the missile attack is usually more beneficial than the Carapace, especially because the roaches already start off with base armor. Okay, so Squirtle looks like he's going to be taking a 3rd soon, but if you look at the vision of Horror, he did see that pylon, and that is a good indicator of that 3rd base coming down. And with this Overseer, he's going to be able to drop down a changing that does nothing. Doesn't really see much of anything. You got a couple more cannons that are going to be thrown down by Squirtle. Looks like he's actually feeling pressure is going to be happening. I think seeing this Overseer this early, before a 10-minute mark, just shows him that the Lair tech is already done. He's got to be a little safer, because if he gets hit by mutas or burrowed roaches, say as a surprise, it could really be harmful to the happiness of Squirtle. He's also going for a big attack at the moment, so he's got to be very careful with how he controls this, but he's very heavy in the Immortals and the Sentries, which means these roaches could have a little bit of an issue in terms of dealing tons of damage, because they get force field out and the Immortals can kill them. That's really unhealthy for those for the roaches. And are we actually going to see, oh no, Squirrel's actually trying to go into this side, but are we going to see force fields? No. Guardian Shield though wastes a decent amount of energy on those sentries, as they're not going to be able to engage while the Guardian Shield is up. And here we the push continues from Squirtle, but he's got half the food of Horror. Half the food of Horror, but he's got this Cloud Kingdom set of Vespene Geysers and hatcheries that will basically function as force fields as well. There we see him blocking out a ton of those roaches here. These sentries are going to be really important. One goes down. Their energy is actually still pretty high. The Warpers in the back here will be ready to introduce reinforcements into the play. We are having very little being lost by Squirtle. These roaches are going to try and come in from the back, but the sentries are going to continue pushing forward. This 3rd base is now dead. 3rd base is dead. We're going to have this sentry so close to dying. He gets shot right now and he will die. A lot of forces going down, but look at where the roaches are. They're directly up in the front against these Immortals, but the Immortals are just doing too much damage. The sentries have managed to successfully keep a lot of the roaches away from the Immortals themselves, and the injured Immortals are actually in the safer spots, because now we're seeing the full surround though by the roaches, and Squirtle is in a rough spot now that this is looking like it will be defended, unless he's going to start warping a lot more. He actually saves the Immortal. Oh, the Warpers and Micros allowing the Immortal to do so much damage, but we're going to see 2 sentries and an Immortal get saved. Very nice hold by Horror. Squirtle is now down to 66 food out of 112. He's not able to get this base down. There's even a burrowed circling here, and that burrow is going to be devastating potentially against an attack against Squirtle, but there are cannons here. Only 1 Immortal. The upgrade is at 1-1 for Squirtle. He's got his Twilight Council now done. He can get his +2 and his Blink. And if he can make a counterattack with Blink and Immortals, that'd be really bad. But there's a couple of force fields. You see that roaches are getting picked off. But the 3rd is getting put down once again. And now we're having the Immortal getting, once again, dropped back here to defend. So we have 2 Immortals out in the field, which is 1 more than there honestly could have been if there wasn't for the Warp Prism out there. But we do see Squirtle macroing up incredibly well, just using his Warp Gate cycles nice and effectively. He's only at 51 probes, and it seems, I feel like Squirtle likes to have fewer probes than most Protosses do, except maybe Quantic State. If you guys didn't see Quantic State versus Liquid Chef, that game yesterday was insane. My god, one of the most incredible PvPs I've ever seen in my entire life. 40 minutes long and insanely aggressive by both players, and it was fascinating to see. But there we see